The zipper of the tent door jammed shut, like fate sealing a secret, trapping the humid summer air and our unspoken truths inside. Alex's hand brushed mine in the dark, a spark that ignited years of buried what-ifs. And in that heartbeat, I knew our friendship forged in the fires of college dorms and midnight confessions would either shatter or transform into something unbreakable. Grayson Hale, 25, and still figuring out the map of his own heart, never imagined a backpacking trip through Yellowstone would rewrite his entire story. It started innocently enough. Or at least that's what we told ourselves. Alex Rivera and I had been inseparable since freshman orientation at the University of Montana. Two kids from opposite coasts thrown together by a shared love for the wild unknown. I was the quiet one from Seattle, raised in a rainy suburb where my single mom worked double shifts at a coffee shop, instilling in me a quiet resilience and a habit of observing life from the edges. Alex, with his easy grin and sun-kissed skin from his Mexican-American roots in San Diego, was the spark, the guy who dragged me out of my shell with bad puns and spontaneous road trips. We were both 25 now, post-grad wanderers chasing freedom before the real world clamped down. One last hurrah? He'd said over beers at our favorite Missoula dive bar, his dark eyes lighting up like the bonfires we'd build. Yellowstone. Man. Tents. Trails. No cell service. Just us against the bears. I laughed it off then. But deep down, a flutter stirred something I'd chalked up to nerves about the wilderness. We'd camped before. Sure. In the Cascades or along the Pacific Crest. But this felt different. Charged. As we loaded my beat-up Subaru with packs, coolers, and that damn two-person tent we'd split the cost on years ago, I caught myself stealing glances at him, the way his biceps flexed under his tank top as he heaved the gear, the salt and pepper stubble shadowing his jaw after a long drive. Stop it, Gray, I thought, shoving the warmth in my chest aside. He's straight. You're just you. Best friends don't complicate things like that. The drive from Missoula took 8 hours, winding through Montana's endless skies and into Wyoming's rugged embrace. We blasted Springsteen and old mixtapes, singing off-key to Thunder Road until our throats ached. Alex drove, one hand on the wheel, the other gesturing wildly as he recounted his latest failed date, a barista named Mia who'd ghosted him after one coffee. Women. Man. He groaned, shaking his head. They're a mystery wrapped in an enigma. I nodded, forcing a chuckle. But my mind wandered to the mysteries I kept locked away, the crushes on guys in high school I'd dismissed as phases. The way my pulse raced during those late-night talks with Alex when he'd crash on my couch, our shoulders touching in the lamplight. By the time we hit the park's east entrance, the sun was dipping low, painting the Lamar Valley in golds and purples. Bison grazed like ancient sentinels, and the air hummed with the promise of untamed nights. We snagged a backcountry permit for the Slough Creek trailhead, 3 days of solitude. No crowds, just the rush of rivers and the whisper of aspens. Setting up camp that first evening, as the sky bruised into dusk, felt like slipping into an old rhythm. Alex hammered steaks with theatrical grunts, while I unrolled the sleeping bags side by side. Our space so tight, we'd be inches apart all night. Cozy. Huh? He teased, winking as he zipped the fly. My stomach twisted not unpleasantly and I busied myself with the fire pit, stacking kindling until flames licked the logs. Dinner was simple, foil packet trout from the stream. Potatoes charred to perfection. Washed down with whiskey from a flask, we passed back and forth. The alcohol loosened our tongues, and soon we were deep in the kind of conversations that defined us, raw, unfiltered. He talked about his dad back in San Diego, the stoic mechanic who'd never said, "I love you," but showed it in oil-stained hugs. I want that for myself someday, Alex said, staring into the fire. a family, stability. You know, I swallowed hard. The word someday, echoing like a door slamming on possibilities I hadn't voiced. Yeah, I murmured, poking the embers. Me too. Whatever that looks like. That night, as coyotes yipped in the distance, we crawled into the tent, the zipper gliding smooth Thinneroni's cruel joke. The air was thick with pine and sweat, our bodies settling into the nylon confines. I lay on my back, staring at the tent's sagging ceiling, listening to Alex's breathing even out beside me. He shifted, his arm draping accidentally over my chest, and time froze. Heat bloomed where we touched, a current pulling me under. Sorry, he mumbled sleepily, not moving it. My heart thundered. Say something. Do something. Nothing. Just the stars wheeling overhead, indifferent witnesses to the storm brewing inside me. Morning broke with frost on the grass and a tentative awkwardness we both ignored. Over coffee brewed on the camp stove, Alex suggested a hike to the petrified forest miles of ancient logs turned to stone, a graveyard of what once was alive. Think about it. Gray, he said, slinging his daypack. Trees that stood for centuries, now frozen in time. Kinda poetic. Right. I smiled faintly, the metaphor hitting too close. Our trail wound uphill, through meadows dotted with wildflowers and the occasional grizzly scatnitcher's blunt reminder to stay alert. We talked about everything and nothing, his dream of opening a surf shop, my vague aspirations in environmental photography, capturing the raw beauty of places like this before climate change erased them. But beneath the banter, tension simmered. At a ridge overlook, wind whipping our faces, Alex turned to me with that earnest look he got when something weighed heavy. You ever feel like you're running from yourself? He asked, voice barely above the gusts. My breath caught. All the time, I admitted, the words slipping out like a confession. Our eyes locked, and for a split second, the world narrowed to just us two souls teetering on the edge of revelation. Then a raven's cry shattered it, and we pressed on. The moment shelved like so many before. By midday, sweat-soaked and exhilarated, we collapsed at a creek for lunch. Alex stripped off his shirt to rinse in the icy water. His back a map of freckles and faded Tatusa compass rose from his Navy ROTC days, pointing forever north. I averted my eyes, but not before the ache in my chest deepened, a longing I'd named admiration for too long. Your turn, he called, splashing me playfully. I joined him, the cold shocking my system, washing away the grime, but not the questions. What if? What now? As we dried off on sun-warmed rocks, he grew quiet, tracing patterns in the pebbles. Gray. That night in college, after the party, when I crashed at your place and we talked till dawn. His voice cracked slightly. I meant what I said. You're the best part of my life. The vulnerability hit like a gut punch. I remembered that night vividly, both of us drunk on cheap wine, sprawled on my futon, his head on my shoulder as he admitted fearing he'd never measure up to his family's expectations. I'd held him then. Platonic comfort. But the memory now carried a different weight. You too, Alex, I whispered, my throat tight. Always. We hiked back in companionable silence, the sun arcing toward afternoon, but the air between us hummed with electricity. Every step a step closer to the precipice. That evening, as thunderheads gathered on the horizon, we fortified camp against the coming storm. Rain pattered tentatively at first, then sheeted down in biblical fury, turning the ground to mud. Huddled in the tent, knees bumping, we played cards by headlamp like Go Fish. Of all things, a childhood game twisted into something intimate. Laughter bubbled up, easing the knot in my gut. But when lightning cracked the sky, illuminating his face in stark relief. The levity fled. "I'm scared," he blurted. "Cards forgotten. Of messing this up. Of losing you." My world tilted. "Losing me how?" I pressed, heart in my throat. He looked away, rain drumming the canvas like applause for our courage. "Because what if it's more than friendship? What if I've been lying to myself all this time?" The words hung there, raw and real, and in that storm-lashed cocoon, the dam I'd built around my heart began to crack. The confession lingered like smoke after the fire, curling through our days as the weather cleared into crystalline skies. Day 2 dawned with Promesia solo loop to the thunderous Lamar River, where we'd fish for cutthroat trout and pretend normalcy. But normalcy was a fragile illusion now. Every shared glance carried subtext. Every accidental touch a question mark. I woke before him that morning, slipping out to boil water, my mind a whirlwind. Grayson Hale, the guy who'd always played it safe, now faced with the terrifying beauty of truth. Was I ready? Was he? Alex emerged tousled and sleepy, pulling me into a bear hug that lasted a beat too long. "Morning, partner," he murmured, his breath tickling my ear. "Partner." The word echoed, laden with possibility. We broke camp minimally, shouldering packs for the river trail, the path alive with the trill of songbirds and the earthy scent of wet sage. As we walked, he opened up in fragments stories of confusion from his teens. The pressure to date girls in high school to fit the mold. The quiet envy he'd felt watching couples who seemed so sure. "I thought it was just bro stuff with you," he said, skipping a stone across a puddle. "But lately, it's like seeing you in a new light. Scary as hell." I stopped, pack straps digging into my shoulders. "Alex, I felt it too. For years. But I buried it because you're my best friend. And I couldn't risk." He closed the distance, his hand finding mine, calloused fingers intertwining with a gentleness that undid me. "Then don't risk alone. We're in this together. Gray. Always have been." The river rushed below us, indifferent to our halting steps toward authenticity. And for the first time, hope flickered brighter than fear. Fishing that afternoon became our ritual of reckoning. Lines cast into the churning water. We sat on boulders, backs to the current, sharing silences pregnant with meaning. He caught the first true-to silver flash in the net and hooped, pulling me into a victory dance that dissolved into laughter. Then stillness. "What now?" I asked, as the sun gilded the peaks. "Now," he said, eyes steady on mine. "We figure it out. One cast at a time." The vulnerability in his voice mirrored my own, a man unlearning the script society handed him, embracing the fluidity of his heart. As shadows lengthened, we released the fish, watching it dart free, a metaphor for the lives we might claim. Nightfall brought stars like scattered diamonds. And around the fire, we talked of futures refracted through this new lens. He dreamed of us traveling coastal drives, mountain ascents not as friends, but as partners in every sense. I confessed my fears, the what-ifs of family reactions, the internalized whispers of not enough. "You're more than enough," he insisted, his hand on my knee, an anchor in the gathering dark. Sleep came fitful that night, dreams weaving our past into potential. But dawn brought clarity. This wasn't an end. It was evolution. On our final day, as we broke camp under a sky vast as possibility, the weight lifted. The drive home blurred in a haze of quiet joy, hands linked over the console, playlists shifting to softer tunes. Back in Missoula, life resumed its rhythm. But we were changed, tentative dates over hikes, stolen kisses in the twilight, building a love as enduring as the Rockies. That night in the tent hadn't ended our friendship. It had deepened it. forging something profound from the embers of what was. In the end, Grace and Hale learned that true wilderness lies not in the wilds outside, but in the uncharted territories of the Hartan with Alex by his side. He was ready to explore. The months following Yellowstone unfolded like a slow-blooming wildflower, delicate yet resilient against the frosts of doubt. Alex and I navigated our new reality with the cautious optimism of explorers charting unknown terrain, texts turning flirtatious, weekends stolen for cabin getaways in the Bitterroots. But beneath the honeymoon glow, shadows lingered, my mom's puzzled glances over Sunday dinners, his family's boisterous gatherings where, when are you settling down with a nice girl, hung unspoken like smoke. At 25, we were adults, yet the world still measured manhood in narrow gauges, and coming out felt like stepping off a cliff without a net. Work became my refuge, a distraction from the internal tug of war. As a junior photographer for a Missoula conservation nonprofit, I spent days knee-deep in meadows, lens trained on endangered lupins or the fleeting arc of a bald eagle. The camera was my confessor, capturing beauty in frames that required no words. Alex, meanwhile, threw himself into his job at a local outfitter, guiding rafting trips down the Clark Fork, his laughter echoing over whitewater as he charmed clients with tales of adventure. It's like therapy, he'd say evenings, collapsing beside me on the couch with takeout tie. Paddling through rapids reminds me life's about riding the waves, not fighting them. One crisp October evening, as leaves turned the town into a palette of rust and gold, he invited me to meet his sister Elena for coffee at a campus cafe. Elena, a grad student in sociology with Alex's sharp wit and a no-nonsense bob, sized me up over lattes like a specimen under glass. So, you're the one who's got my brother mooning like a teenager, she teased, her eyes twinkling. Alex flushed, sputtering into his mug, but I saw the undercurrent approval laced with protectiveness. Just be good to him, Gray. He's tougher than he looks, but hearts like his bruise easy. Her words stuck, a gentle warning that echoed my own fears. That night, tangled in sheets at his apartment, I whispered them to him, our breaths sinking in the dark. I will, I vowed, tracing the line of his jaw. Promise. Winter descended with a vengeance, blanketing Montana in snowdrifts that isolated us in cozy domesticity. We hosted game nights with a handful of mutual friends carefully curated. No prying eyes, and the secrecy added a thrill, but also a weariness. One blizzard-bound night, snow howling against the windows, Alex paced our living room, frustration etching lines on his face. I hate hiding, he burst out, stopping to face me, like we're some dirty secret. My parents ask about you all the time. Grayson's such a great guy, and I want to scream it. Yeah, he is. And he's mine. The rawness in his voice cracked something open in me, tears pricking my eyes. I pulled him down beside me, our foreheads touching. Then let's tell them. Not all at once, but start somewhere. We decided on his mom first, Rosa, the heart of the Rivera clan, with her warm kitchen and endless tamales. The drive to San Diego for Christmas was a gauntlet, flights delayed, nerves frayed, but holding his hand through turbulence grounded us. Rosa enveloped us in hugs at the airport, her perfume a mix of vanilla and home. My boys, she cooed, oblivious yet, as we piled into her SUV. The revelation came on Christmas Eve, post-feast, when the house quieted and his dad retired early with a grunt and the TV's glow. We sat at the scarred oak table, string lights twinkling like hesitant stars, and Alex took her hand. Mom, Grayson and I, we're together, more than friends. The words tumbled out, steady despite the tremor in his voice. Rosa's eyes widened, then softened, tears welling as she squeezed his fingers. Mijo. I knew something was different. You light up around him like Sol in Invierno. She turned to me, pulling me into an embrace that smelled of cinnamon. Welcome, Grayson. Family now. Relief washed over us like a receding tide. But my own confession loomed larger. Back in Missoula, New Year's Eve found me staring at the phone, thumb hovering over Mom's contact. She'd raised me alone after Dad bailed when I was 6. Her love fierce but shadowed by her own heartbreaks. She's proud of you, Gray, Alex murmured, nuzzling my neck from behind. Strong like you. I hit call, voice shaking as I spilled it over the line the trip. The realization. The love that had bloomed from friendship's soil. Silence stretched. Then her laugh. Watery but genuine. Baby, I've always known you had a big heart. Big enough for whoever makes it sing. Bring him home soon. Spring thawed the doubts, greening the valleys in our resolve. We moved in together that Aprila creaky duplex near the river, walls echoing with inside jokes and the clatter of shared meals. Friends trickled in on the truth. Reactions, a mosaic. Cheers from our queer circle at the university's LGBTQ center. Awkward pauses from old college buds that tested bonds. One rainy afternoon, as Alex sorted gear for a guided trip, a text from his dad pinged, heard the news. Doors open when you're ready. Simple words, but they mended fractures I hadn't named. Yet growth isn't linear. Old insecurities resurfaced like stubborn weeds. In June, during a solo shoot in Glacier National Park, I grappled with the camera's unblinking eye, framing a lone wolf on the ridge. I saw myself solitary, fierce, but yearning for pack. Emails from Alex bridged the miles. Miss your laugh. Hurry back, trail mix, and I aren't the same without you. Returning, I found him planning a surprise, a weekend at the coast. Oregon's rugged shores where waves crashed like unresolved symphonies. There, under salt-laced skies, we walked the beach at Cannon Beach. Haystack Rock looming like a sentinel. Remember our first trip? He asked, sand shifting underfoot. That tent. That storm. I was terrified, but you made it feel safe. I nodded, throat tight. You did the same for me. Still do. As tide pools mirrored the fading sun, he dropped to one knee, not with a ring, but with a promise, a braided leather cord, woven from our old tent straps. Forever starts here. Gray. No more hiding. Tears blurred the horizon, and I kissed him. Salt and sea mingling. Our story etching deeper into time's vast canvas. Summer swelled with momentum. Our love a steady current carrying us forward. We joined a local hiking group for queer folks. Trails becoming bridges to community stories swapped over summits. Vulnerabilities shared like trail mix. Alex's confidence bloomed. He came out at work, earning nods from colleagues who'd suspected. I pitched a photo series on queer lives in the American West to a magazine. Images of us woven in subtly hands linked on ledges. Silhouettes against sunsets celebrating resilience without fanfare. But autumn brought a test. His dad's invitation for Thanksgiving. The full family gauntlet. The flight south was tense. Alex's knee bouncing. But Rose's feast turkey alongside Mole. Laughter drowning, nerves eased us in. His dad, Miguel, clapped me on the back over pie. Gruff voice low. He talks about you nonstop. Treat him right. The acceptance. Hard won and quiet. Sealed something sacred. Driving back under star-strewn skies. Alex squeezed my hand. We're building something real. Gray. Roots and wings. By winter's return, our duplex felt like sanctuary. Walls adorned with prints from my shoots Yellowstone's misty mornings. Alex's grin frozen in time. We'd come far from that jam zipper. From boys fumbling in the dark toward men embracing light. Life's wilderness remained wild. But together, we mapped it with compassion, proving love's true adventure lies in the courage to evolve. As the new year dawned, crisp and full of uncharted promise, Alex and I found ourselves at a crossroads not of doubt, but of depth. 26 now. The weight of forever pressed gently, urging us toward milestones we'd once deemed distant dreams. Work promotions beckoned. My photo series landed a gallery showing in Bozeman, capturing queer narratives etched in Montana's landscapes. Alex stepped up to lead his own rafting outfitters, his voice steady over radios as he navigated groups through frothing rapids. Success tasted sweet, but it amplified the undercurrent question, what does home look like when your heart's compass points to each other? Early spring brought Elena's weddinga joyous affair in San Diego's balmy embrace, where palm fronds rustled like applause. As best man, I stood beside Alex in crisp linen suits, the ocean a turquoise witness to vows exchanged under a floral arch. Elena's groom, a soft-spoken engineer named Theo, pulled me aside during toasts. Alex says you're his North Star. Hold steady. The words humbled me, a reminder of the quiet power in our partnership. That night, dancing barefoot on the sand to mariachi-infused ballads, Alex whispered against my ear, "Marry me someday. Not today, but when it's right." My yes was a breath, a vow sealed in salt air and swaying hips. Returning north, the proposal's echo fueled our rhythm. We tackled home projects, sanding floors, planting a victory garden of tomatoes and basil, each hammer strike a stake in our shared foundation. Friends noticed the shift. Our circle expanded, potlucks brimming with stories of triumphs and trials. One evening, over craft beers at a brew pub, our buddy Marcusa, burly ex-linebacker turned therapist, leaned in. "You two make it look easy, but I see the work, the check-ins, the space you give each other." His insight sparked a deeper dive. We started couples counseling, not from crisis, but curiosity, unpacking layers of past wounds with a queer-affirming guide named Riley. Sessions revealed fractures I'd glossed over, my abandonment echoes from Dad's exit, manifesting as a fear of impermanence. Alex's cultural machismo, internalized from his father's world, clashing with his fluid self. "It's okay to grieve what we lost," Riley urged, her voice a gentle prod. In the quiet after, driving home through twilight valleys, we'd process tears shed on shoulder pads, laughter reclaiming space. These talks wove us tighter, turning vulnerabilities into velvet strengths. Summer's heat wave tested that weave. A brutal drought parched the rivers, canceling Alex's trips and leaving him restless, pacing like a caged wolf. "I feel useless," he confessed one sweltering night, sweat beading on his brow as we lay atop sheets. My grant-funded exhibit loomed, deadlines gnawing, but I set the camera aside, pulling him to the porch swing. "You're my anchor, not my job," I said, fanning us with an old magazine. We escaped to the Yak River, a hidden gem where water ran cool and clear, tubing lazily under lodgepole pines. Floating side by side, inners gripped loosely. We named fears aloud, his of stagnation, mine of outpacing him. "We'll grow together," he promised, splashing me lightly. Or not at all. Fall foliage painted our world in fire, and with it came a pilgrimage back to Yellowstone. 1 year on, to reclaim the site of our awakening. The Lamar Valley welcomed us with bison parades, the air crisp as memory. Hiking to our old campsite, packs lighter now with shared loads. We pitched the same tent, zipper oiled smooth. Around the fire that night, embers mirroring stars, Alex unpacked a small box, photos from our college days, letters we'd written but never sent, a timeline of us. "Look how far," he said, voice thick. Flipping through. Laughter mingled with ache the awkward hugs. The missed cues culminating in a candid from last Christmas. Us arm in arm with Rosa. Joy unfeigned. As frost nipped the grass. We made love under quilts not urgent, but reverent. Bodies mapping familiar shores with newfound grace. Dawn found us entwined. The park's symphony our alarm, elk bugles. River song. This place holds our origin story. I murmured, tracing his tattoos. But we're writing the sequel now. He smiled. That grin that still unraveled me. And it's epic. Winter wrapped us in introspection. Holidays a tapestry of blended traditions. Mom's Seattle clam chowder meeting Rosa's pozole. Miguel's gruff toasts toasting the family we choose. Elena announced her pregnancy over Zoom. Her glow infectious. Stirring whispers of our own horizons. Kids someday. Alex mused one snowy eve. Building a snowman in the yard carrot nose askew. Scarf borrowed from me. I hesitated. The idea a wildflower seed in fertile soil. Maybe. With you. Yeah. Spring's thaw mirrored our unfolding. My exhibit opening drew a crowd locals. Activists. Even a reviewer from Seattle's arts scene walls alive with images of resilience. A trans hiker at dawn. Two women hand in hand on a ridgeline. Us blurred in motion on a trail. Alex's pride beamed brighter than the spotlights. Afterward, toasting with champagne, he pulled me aside. You're brilliant. Gray. And mine. The night blurred into celebration. But his words lingered. A cornerstone. Yet life's undercurrents stirred. In June, a forest fire threatened the parklands. Smoke choking skies and canceling shoots. Volunteering with relief efforts hauling supplies to evacuees reminded us of fragility. Amid ash-fallen days, Alex found purpose in organizing aid runs. His leadership a quiet force. This is why we fight for the land. For each other, he said, wiping soot from his face. I captured it all. Not for frames, but memory, his resolve, our unity in chaos. By summer's end, as rains quenched the flames, we stood stronger, scars adding texture to our bond. A spontaneous road trip to the Badlands eroded spires like sculpted time became our reset. Driving with windows down, wind whipping worries away. We vowed to chase dreams unapologetically, his surf shop pitch to investors. My book proposal on queer wildness. No more small, Alex declared. Hand on my thigh. We're vast. Autumn harvested those seeds. His business plan won seed funding. A San Diego launch plan for spring. My manuscript found a publisher. Yellowstone's tent as prologue. Family visits wove tighter mom meeting Miguel over pie. Stories bridging coasts. Elena's baby shower. A riot of blue and laughter. Hinted at legacies we'd build. As leaves fell, we hiked Rattlesnake Wilderness. Summit views stretching endless. From that night to now, Alex said, arm around me. It's been the best plot twist. I leaned in, heart full, and the story's just beginning. The rhythm of 27 settled like a well-worn trail. Familiar, yet ever-revealing new vistas. Alex's surf shop venture pulled us south for half the year. San Diego's sun, a stark contrast to Montana's moody skies where he poured passion into blueprints and beachfront leases. I freelanced remotely. Shoots in California's redwoods blending seamlessly with sunset walks on La Jolla shores. Distance from Missoula tested us. But technology bridged gaps, video calls at dawn. His sleepy smile my alarm. Care packages of wildflower seeds for his windowsill. Tokens of roots enduring. Family dynamics deepened. Rosa adopted me fully. Teaching tamale wrapping with flour-dusted hands and life lessons laced in Spanglish. Amor verdadero es como el mar, sometimes calm. Sometimes tormenta. But always deep. She'd say. Eyes wise. Miguel's thawing continued. Fishing trips off the pier became our ritual. Rod's casting lines as he shared Navy yarns. Grunts evolving to questions about how you two make it work. Vulnerability from Hema man of few words felt like gold. Mom visited in July. Her arrival coinciding with Pridea kaleidoscope of rainbows and resilience along the waterfront. We marched together. Her arm linked with mine. Alex's sign reading, "Love wins." One wave at a time. Her pride swelled. Tears hidden behind sunglasses. You found your tribe. Gray. She whispered amid cheers. That night. Bonfire on the beach. Stories circled like embers. Her own quiet queerness in the 80s. Suppressed for survival. Your courage heals me too. Back north for fall. The shop's opening Lumita hybrid model. Montana outposts planned. Stress crested for Alex. Investor meetings gnawed at confidence. Old imposter whispers rising. What if I sink this? He vented one stormy night. Thunder rumbling like unrest. I drew him a bath. Eucalyptus steaming. And knelt by the tub. You've navigated worse rapids. Revelations. Trust your current. His exhale was surrender. And in the quiet after, we plotted contingencies, turning fear to fuel. My book release hit shelves in October. A quiet launch at a Bozeman bookstore drawing queer elders whose nods validated the pages. You gave voice to us wanderers. One murmured. A leatherman in his 70s. Alex manned the signing table, stacking copies with a grin. His support my spine. Reviews trickled in praise for the tender authenticity of love in the wild, but one critique stung, romanticizes privilege. Overlooks intersectional pains. It sparked debate over dinner. Alex challenging gently, your truth matters. But maybe expand the lens. We brainstormed additions. His insight sharpening my gaze. Winter's grip, broad introspection. Elena's son, little Mateo, arrived amid holiday chaos, tiny fists waving like flags of hope. Uncle Judy's charmed us. Alex cradled him with awe, murmuring, someday, our own. The idea rooted deeper. Conversations evolving from maybes to maps, adoption paths. Surrogacy stars aligning. Counseling with Riley resumed virtually. Navigating the emotional terrain joys of envisioning. Fears of unreadiness. Spring unfurled with the shop's grand opening, a sun-drenched ribbon cut. Wetsuits racked like trophies. Alex's speech weaving adventure with authenticity. This isn't just surf, it's about riding your true wave. No matter the tide. Crowds swelled. Locals and tourists alike. And as waves crashed beyond, pride swelled in me. My contribution, a mural of intertwined trails. Symbolizing paths converged. Yet ripples disturbed calm. A Montana bill targeting queer education surfaced. Igniting protests. We joined rallies in Helena. Signs aloft. Voices hoarse with protect our stories. The fight galvanized. But exhaustion followed nights debating policy over tea. Alex's fire tempered by my caution. Change is marathon. I reminded, massaging his shoulders. We've run miles already. Summer's heat mirrored tensions. A work trip pulled me to Alaska's fjords for a conservation dock. 2 weeks of solitude amid glaciers calving like sighs. Emails from Alex sustained. Glaciers move slow. But they move. Miss you carving mine. Returning. I found him knee-deep in expansion plans. But shadows under his eyes spoke of overreach. Pace yourself, I urged, pulling him for a trail run pounding earth till worries blurred. Fall harvested growth. Mateo's baptism, a blend of faiths, welcomed us as godparents' vows to guide with open hearts. Back home, we hosted a harvest feast. Tables groaning with squash and stories. Our circle a quilt of chosen kin. As leaves spiraled, Alex proposed formally on our anniversary hike. Yellowstone's Lamar under snow-dusted buff. A ring of twisted gold and turquoise glinting in his palm. Will you build this life with me? Grace and Hale. Kneeling in the frost. I yes-ed through tears. The valley echoing our joy. Winter sealed our betrothal with plans, a small ceremony in spring. Mountains as chapel. Invites went out, Mom officiating. Rosa catering. Elena as matron. Doubts flickered logistics. Legacies, but love doused them. We're writing our vows. Alex said. Penning drafts by firelight. Not just words, lifelines. As snow melted, anticipation bloomed. Rehearsal dinner tales wove our saga from tent to triumphan on the day. Under aspen boughs heavy with bloom, we exchanged rings. Promises whispered fierce in wilds and calm. I choose you. Vows landed like grace. Guest cheers a chorus. The dance barefoot. Stars wheeling felt eternal. 28 dawn wedded. Horizons vast. The shop thrived. My second book brewed. Parenthood beckoned. Papers filed for fostering. Life's narrative. Once a solo trail. Now a shared path twists gay can. Depths profound. Ending not in closure, but continuum. That night in the tent. It birthed us. And in its echo, we thrived. Marriage at 28 was less a destination than a deeper dive, plunging us into currents of commitment that tested and tempered. The wedding's afterglow faded into mundane miracles, joint bank apps, shared closets, the quiet thrill of husband on lips. Alex's shop expanded north, a Missoula satellite bustling with beginners and bold souls. His days a blur of wax and waves. I balanced book tours with local shoots, framing families in the frame of forever queer dads with tots on trails. Elders holding hands at overlooks. Family fused further. Mom relocated part-time to Montana. Her condo near ours a hub for brunches where she and Rosa bonded over recipes and reminiscences. Miguel's health scary, a minor heart episode drew us south urgently. Hospital vigils forging unbreakable ties. You saved me, son. He rasped to Alex post-surgery. Then to me. And you kept him steady. Recovery meant weekly calls. His voice softening into stories of youth. Vulnerabilities bared like peeled onions. Elena's family grew. Mateo toddled into our visits, his chubby hands claiming our hearts. Uncle Gray Gray. He'd chirp, tugging at camera straps. Alex's eyes misted at the sight. Our fostering application inching forward, home studies. Interviews. A nursery painted sage with stars. Patience. Riley coached in sessions. Her wisdom a lighthouse. Parenthood's not possession. It's presence. We absorbed. Volunteering at youth centers. Mentoring teens navigating their own tints of truth. Summer solstice brought a milestone, our first anniversary. Celebrated with a backcountry loop in the Bob Marshall Wilderness No tent. But a bivy sack under big sky. Stars carpeted the void as we recounted vows. Laughter mingling with the hoot of owls. 1 year. Alex marveled. Fingers laced with mine. Feels like always. Intimacy, there was sacred bodies attuned. Souls since a drain forcing the foundation. Fall's harvest yielded challenges. A shop rival poached staff. Slandering Alex's agenda in whispers, homophobia veiled as business. Reviews tanked temporarily. Stress etching his sleep. They're afraid of what we represent. He fumed over coffee. Fists clenched. I rallied. Social media campaigns highlighting inclusivity. Testimonials from clients who'd found courage on his waves. Community rallied. Boycotts flipped to support. And by November, numbers rebounded. We weathered, he said, exhaling in my arms. Stronger surf. My tour hit snags to a hostile Q&A in a conservative town. Questions laced with barbs. Does this glorify deviance? Heart pounding. I stood firm. It glorifies humanity love's many forms. All worthy. Backlash brewed online. But allies amplified. Turning tide to dialogue. Alex's midnight pep talks. Your voice is wildfire, fueled revisions. Chapters added on resilience amid rejection. Winter whispered of expansion. Our fostering match arrived. Siblings. Jamal, 8, and Lila, 6. Brown-eyed whirlwinds from a fractured home. First meeting at the agency. Tentative hands and hours. Sparked something primal. Homecoming week was chaos forts from couch cushions. Bedtime stories of adventures. Jamal's wariness melted over trail hikes. Lila's giggles echoing at splash pads. Family. Alex breathed one night. Watching them sleep. Hours. Parenting's arc bent us sleepless nights. School runs. The dance of discipline and delight. Jamal's questions pierced. Why'd our real mom leave? We'd field honestly. Hearts aching. Weaving in our story, love sometimes shifts. But it doesn't stop. Lila's drawing stick figure us holding hands hung on fridge like talismans. Riley's family sessions helped. Tools for tantrums and triumphs. Spring bloomed with belonging. Jamal's soccer games drew cheering sections, Rosa with pom-poms. Mom with snacks. Lila's school play cast her as a tree, fitting. We joked. Her bow earning encores. We navigated bureaucracy. Adoption hearings looming like summits. Steady. Alex reminded. Our mantra. Summer's sun gilded growth. A family raft trip down the Salmon River, whitewater whoops from kids. Our hands steering tandem bonded us indelibly. Evening campsites brimmed with mores and songs. Jamal strumming a ukulele we'd gifted. Best dads ever. Lila declared. Marshmallow smeared. Pride swelled. Mingled with humility. We'd stumbled. But risen. Fall's equinox marked 2 years wed. A vow renewal intimate. Just us four at dawn on a lakeshore. Rings re-exchanged with kids' witness. Through every season. I promised. Voice steady. Alex's reply, growing wild and wise. Challenges crested anew. Jamal's nightmares resurfaced. Therapy unearthed traumas we'd tiptoed. Am I bad? He'd whisper. Small in the dark. We'd hold vigil. Truth's tender, you're brave. Buddy. Healing's a hero's journey. Lila's curiosity bloomed, can I have 2 moms too? Prompting age-soft talks on love's spectrum. Schoolyard whispers tested. We armed with pride stickers. Storybooks of families like ours. Winter's hush brought hearings, judges' gavel sealing adoption. Papers signed amid tears. Hail Rivera. The clerk intoned. And our home echoed with yes. Celebration feast blended cuisines. Toasts to tomorrow's crown the chapter. 29 arrived anchored. Horizons familial. The shop mentored apprentices. My 3rd book on queer parenting inked. Doubts. Fleeting. Doused in daily devotions, breakfast chaos. Bedtime hugs. That tense legacy. A spark igniting legacy. Proving love's narrative arcs toward meaning naughty. Profound. Eternally unfolding. 30 crept in like a sly fox. Sly with wisdom earned through the lean years. The Hail Rivera household thrummed a symphony of soccer cleats and surfboard wax. Jamal's tween angst clashing with Lila's boundless curiosity. Alex's empire spanned coasts now. Franchises mentoring young queers in business. His TEDx talk on waves of inclusion rippling wide. I pivoted to multimedia. Podcasts interviewing trailblazer trans activists in Appalachia. Elders reclaiming stolen narrative as me, voice a bridge from page to airwaves. Parenthood's middle miles stretched us. Jamal. Hitting 13. Grappled with identity, first crush on a classmate. Confusion crashing like puberty's breakers. What if I'm like you guys? Is that okay? He'd mumble. Put up. We'd sit trailside. Maps of emotion unfurled. It's your story. Kid. We'll walk it with you. Lila, 10 and fierce, advocated at school rainbow pins for allies. Essays on families like mine. Her fire mirrored Elena's, but with our wild edge. Family constellations shifted. Rosa's retirement meant more Montana time. Her garden yielding chiles for stews that spiced our debates. Miguel's full embrace came slow a fishing trip where he admitted, I was blind. Son. Proud now. Mom's partner. A gentle librarian named Carol. Woven seamlessly. Book swaps with Lila forging aunt-niece bonds. Elena's second. A daughter Sophia. Rounded the circle. Playdates a whirlwind of cousins. Summer Zenith hosted a reunion Yellowstone. Full clan. Tents pitched in a village of kin. Jamal led hikes. Lila journaled stars. Adults swapped sagas around communal fires. Alex and I stole moments. Hands brushing in the dark. Look what we built. He'd say. All undimmed. A storm rolled in night too. Rain lashing like memory. But we zipped tight. Kids between. Whispering gratitude. Falls forged tested metal. Alex's expansion hit headwinds economic dips. A franchise falter in Oregon. Layoffs loomed. Guilt gnawing. I failed them. Boardrooms bruised his optimism. Nights pacing with spreadsheets. I countered with structure budget huddles. Pivot plans while reminding. Success isn't solitary. Community fundraisers. Queer-owned grants. Buoyed the ship. By December. Stabilization whispered hope. Teamwork. He grinned. Weary but winning. My podcast surged. But spotlight scorched. A troll storm post-episode on bisexuality erasure. Vitriol flooding inboxes. Traitor to the cause. They spat. Isolation bit. Alex shielded. Moderating feeds. While Riley unpacked imposter syndrome anew. Your light draws shadows. She said. Shine anyway. A listener retreat hikers sharing scars recharged. Bonds forged in vulnerability. Winters we've mended. Adoption anniversaries celebrated with cakes inscribed Forever Family. Toasts to resilience. Jamal's coming out tea over hot cocoa. By. I think earned hugs. No fanfare. Proud. Alex said simply. Eyes mirroring mine. Lila's activism peaked. A youth council speech on inclusive curricula. Her poise a parent's thrill. Spring's renewal birthed dreams deferred no more. We'd banked for Ida surrogacy journey. Selected donor a artist from Portland. Consults cascaded, clinics. Contracts. The leap of faith. Our bio kid. Lila pondered. Drawing crib sketches. Jamal's protectiveness shown. I'll be the cool big bro. Ultrasounds later revealed twins boys. Dewfall elation laced with logistics. Summer swelled with prep, nursery murals of oceans and mountains. Classes on newborn chaos. Alex's shop stabilized. A profit-sharing model honoring staff. My book deal expanded anthology of voices. Co-edited with a non-binary poet. Vacations paused for scans. But a coastal getaway Dana Point Sands reconnected, bonfires. Body surfing. Bodies curling under blankets. Falls crescendo, labor's call at equinox. Twins arriving amid autumn gales Luca and Mateo. Cries harmonizing. Hospital haze blurred to homecoming. Clan converging in casseroles and coups. Sleep fragmented. But joy pieced idony fists gripping fingers. Midnight feeds philosophical. 4 kids under one roof. Alex marveled. Bleary-eyed. Our zoo. Challenges compounded, colic symphonies. Jamal's teen tempests over grades. Lila's tween heart flutters. Therapy rotations family sessions dissecting dynamics kept us afloat. Balance bends. Doesn't break. Riley affirmed. Winter's hush healed. Holidays amplified. 8 stockings hung. Chaos carols. Luca's first smile. Mateo's gurgle milestones multiplying magic. Rosa's lullabies and Spanish wove heritage. Mom's stories English lore. 31 Dawn diapered and determined. Shop Innovations adaptive gear for disabled surfers earned accolades. Podcast syndication reached nationals. Parenting's paradox. Exhaustion eternal. Love exponential. Doubts. Distant echoes. Silenced by sibling squabbles resolved in hugs. A milestone hike Glacier's highline. Babes and packs gap the year. Summit winds whipped. Views infinite. From 2 to 6. Alex said. Kissing my temple. Our epic. Life's plot. Once duos duet. Now chorus harmonies hard won. Depths delving ever true. The tapestry of 32 wove wider. Threads of triumph tangled with trials tenacity. Household hummed with hierarchies. Jamal. 15. Navigating drivers Ed and dating's dizzying dance. His by flag pinned proudly to backpack. Lila. 12. Channeled debate club fire into climate advocacy. Speeches searing on fossil fuels folly. Twins. 1. Toddled Tara Luca's mischief mirroring Alex's. Mateo's calm, echoing mind diapers ditched for dinosaur chases. Alex's brand burgeoned, a non-profit arm. Waves for all. Scholarships sending queer youth to camps. His face on billboards beaming purpose. Travel pulled him keynotes in Miami. Partnerships in Hawaii, but homecomings were havens. Suitcases upended into tickle forts. Missed this chaos. He'd grown. Feigning defeat under pillow avalanches. My media mantle grew, a docuseries greenlit. Trails untold. Profiling LGBTQ plus conservationists filming in the Smokies. Interviews under live oaks. Deadlines devoured days. But family-fueled, Jamal's lens apprenticeship. Lila's script input. Twins' gummy grins on set. Daddy's movie star. Luca babbled. Stealing scenes. Extended kin knit closer. Elena's brood Mateo 5. Sophia 3 visited for spring break. Cousin carnivals in the yard, slip-in slides. Esmores wars. Rosa and Miguel wintered north. Their RV a rolling abuelo outpost. Tamales steaming traditions. Mom and Carol's wedding small. Seaside invited us all. Vows mirroring ours. In quiet coves and crashing crests. Jamal officiated. Voice cracking with teen gravitas. Summer's saga scripted adventure. A family voyage to Costa Rica. Zip lines through cloud forests. Bioluminescent bays glowing like bottled stars. Jamal bonded with local surfers. Lila journaled biodiversity. Twins splashed in shallows under watchful eyes. Evenings on verandas. Alex and I debriefed dreams, his global camps. My series sequel. Legacy. He murmured. Hammock swayed. Ours. Expansive. Falls Forge fired fiercely. Jamal's first heartbreak, a boy ghosting post-homecoming, shattered his swagger. Room a cave of closed doors. Why me? He'd rage. Tears hot. We sat vigil. Alex sharing his sophomore stings. Me offering photo albums of our stumbles. Therapy tandem. His counselor's tools for resilience. Ours for holding space. Lila's allyship-tested classmate taunts over her pin sparking a school assembly she led. Kindness currents. Peers pledging packs. Pride parented us as much as we them. Twins terrible twos tempest ed, tantrums twin-timed. Nap refusals riotous. Sleep training regressed to survival mode. Coffee our communion. Tag team titans. Alex quipped. Passing Luca mid-meltdown. A weekend writer's retreat for me meant Alex solo parenting. Returning to crayon murals and his exhausted elation, we conquered. Deepened devotion. Winter's wisdom warmed. Holidays hosted hordes, potluck progressives. Progressive toasts. Jamal's Hanukkah Christmas fusion lax with luminary ashenerd blended blood. Adoption support group shared scars, post-traumatic flares in kids. Our vigilance vital. Healing's horizon. A mom affirmed, her spouse nodding. Spring's spark ignited innovation. Alex's nonprofit partnered with my doc. Waves and Wilds. Youth testimonials threading narratives. Filming fused families, Jamal camera shy to steady. Lila interviewing elders with empathy. Twins tagged along. Toy mics mimicking. Luca declaring, I'm podcaster. Summer scorched with setbacks. A wildfire menaced Missoula outskirts. Evac alerts blaring at dawn. We bugged out to Elena's. Bags crammed with photo albums. Kids' teddies. Smoke haze drives. Radio updates tension taut as bowstrings. Home spared. But ash aftermath, air purifiers humming. Lungs laced with loss. Community cleanups bonded. Jamal shoveling with neighbors. We're fire forged. Falls Phoenix rose. Series premiered to acclaim Emmy buzz. But impact intimate. Letters from viewers. You gave my kid words. Alex's camp swelled. Scholarships saving souls adrift. Jamal's learner's permit earned. First drive a white-knuckled win pizza reward. Toasts to trust. Challenges crested. Lila's anxiety bloom. Panic attacks pinching playdates. World's too big. She'd confide. Breaths shallow. We wove worry basket CBT crafts with Riley while modeling mindfulness on morning walks. Jamal's activism ignited. GSA founding at school. His charter chiseled with conviction. Winter's weave welcomed 3. Luca's pneumonia scare. ER vigils blurring nights. Stay strong. Little man. Alex Wilt. Holding tiny hand. Recovery rallied USUP rotations. Story marathons. Mateo's empathy emerged. Blanky shared with Bro. 33 dawned defiant. Shop's sustainability line recycled boards rode green waves. Doc's second season scouted Sierras. Family therapy fine-tuned. Twins rivalry rituals. Teens independence arcs. A legacy hike Badlands. Backs to wind surveyed spans. From tent to tribe. Alex marveled. Arms full of all. Life's ledger balanced, bold kinks knotted. Climaxes cathartic. Denouement deferred in delicious delay. 40 arrived unhurried. A milestone mirrored in the mirror. Laugh lines etching adventures. Silver threading temples like comet trails. The Hale Rivera saga spanned decades now. A chronicle carved in coastlines and canyons. Its pages turned by hands once small. Now sure. Jamal, 28, helmed his own conservation startup. Drones mapping endangered habitats. His husband, a soft-spoken software, was named Kai balancing bites with birdwatching. Lila, 25, thrived as a climate litigator. Briefs battling polluters. Her wife, Jordana, poet with ink-stained fingers infusing verse into verdicts. Twins, 18, diverged delightfully. Luca chased cinematography at film school. Lenses lingering on lights lyric. Mateo majored in marine bio. Wetsuit ready for reefer stores. Alex and I, empty nesters at last, savored the Equar Missoula home, a gallery of growth. Shelves sagging with spines from my dozen books. Walls waving with his branded boards. The shop evolved empire, global grants greening oceans. His memoir, Current Affairs, a bestseller blending boardroom battles with bedroom truths. My docuseries span seasons. Emmys etched on mantles. But the real. Our real home videos of first steps to graduations. Edited into heirlooms. Grandparenting gilded golds, Jamal's twins. Our first grandchildren. Rowdy rascals romping yards. Lila's impending bundle. A bump blooming under Jordan's hand. Cycle complete. Alex quipped. Chasing tots with tickles. His vigor undimmed. Family fortresses fortified. Annual Yellowstone pilgrimages. Tents traded for cabins. But stories stoked same that zipped fate. Storm-swept spark. Reflections rippled retirement's edge. Alex mentored at universities. Waves wisdom to wide-eyed. I lectured on legacy. Photos projecting paths paved. Health hums checked, his knee scoped from surf scars. My eyes eased with readers' minor murmurs of mortality. Met with mirth. Weave miles left. Heat affirm. Plotting Portugal paddles. Challenges. Chronic companions. Crested kinder. Jamal startup snag funding freeze drew dad duties. Strategy sessions over IPAs. Pivot like a pro. Lila's trial loss. A pipeline permit. Sparked solace, trail therapy. Tears trailblazed to tenacity. Twins Tempest Sluca's quarter-life quandary. Mateo's major mulmirid our youths. Council circular. Trust the tide. Winter's wisdom warmed widest. Rosa. 85. Frail but fierce. Recounted roots over rosaries. Miguel's passing. Peaceful. Prompted vigils laced with laughter as Navy tales retold. Legacy logged in logs we split. Mom and Carol's sunset years nestled nearby. Bridge games bridging generations. Spring's symphony sang successors, Lila's daughter. Alara. Earth-eyed arrival. Cradled in collective coups. Welcome. Warrior. I whispered. Alex's arm anchor. Grand quests quested, beach babysits. Board lessons for babes. Summer's sun scripted serenity. A sabbatical sailed us to Alaska glacier's grinding grandeur. Grizzlies grazing grace. Evenings anchored. Aurora's dancing. We drafted dreams deferred, a trust for the kids. Travels tick Patagonia pending. Fall's foliage framed finalities. A health hiccup me tickers tweak. Stents stented slowed strides. But spurred gratitudes, family flotillas. Forced siestas scripting stories. Slows the new swift. Alex decreed. Our pace paired. Winter's rap whispered worth. Holidays hubbed, hordes 30 souls strong. Tables teeming traditions. Toasts traced timelines. Tense tumult to tribes' triumph. Heartaches harvested to harmonies. 45 found us fuller. Folly's fond. The narrative. Once nascent in nylon night. Now novel nuanced. Noble. Never-ending. That jam zipper. Catalyst to cosmos. Friendships forged to love's legend. In its wake. Grace and Hale and Alex Rivera husbands. Heroes. Humans harbored hope for heirs' horizons. For hearts held high. Life's wild weave. With all its warps and wefts. Wove one truth. Changes night, birth dawns forever. A friendship eternal. Evolved. And in quiet codas. Under stars that witnessed all. We whispered thanks to tent. To time. To the tender tangle of us.